right, guys. Here we are to talk about the movie Bright. We just watched that and we got some thoughts.
Netflix original.
Of course.
Netflix original, Max Landis production, whatever, Bright.
Yeah, Max Landis was the screenwriter, I believe. Will Smith, obviously, the main character. And then the dude from Warrior plays our orc boy.
The fuck?
Yeah, he's the guy that was played opposite Tom Hardy in Warrior. Is
What's
the orc.
Warrior?
Warrior is a movie about two brothers that have different styles of fighting that go into this tournament to win a lot of money.
I've never seen that movie.
One is a teacher, one is an ex-soldier.
I did look up the guy that was playing the main orc because I thought I was like, who is that? And it's Joel Edgerton, whose face I did not recognize at all.
He's been in a lot of things.
He's a scrunchy man.
Yes, he is.
I think I've seen him before, but I was like, who the fuck are you?
I had to do a look up on the guy who played that main orc, like the gang leader
Orky
orc.
McBatterson?
And I was like, this guy seems so familiar. I'm like, who the fuck is he?
Who was it?
And I was like, is this Tom Segura? Like, who the fuck is this? And then it ended up being this guy who has a very similar shape, who's been in other things, and I didn't even take note of his name.
Okay.
I saw the face, and I was like, yep, that's him. Cool.
Yeah, he looked like a bunch of weird people to me or whatever.
That's what was cool about it. Was I'm like, it's expressive. Like the faces are expressive enough that I have the ballpark of like who you are, not even just by using your face. Like, it's very cool. The makeup on this was amazing, and like so much makeup.
Okay,
like so much.
Let me say, I have two things that I want to do during this like video here. I'm gonna need your patience.
All right.
And your faith or whatever. One of them is 3 good, 3 bad.
Okay.
And the reason I'm starting it now is because the first one is the effects.
Okay. I assume was under the good?
Good, yeah. So 3 good, then 3 bad. And I'm going to do them rapid fire, and then we can circle back, and I have like another actual list of stuff that I was going to talk about.
Okay, let's hear the 3 good.
Real quick, though, I didn't take actual like plot notes or something like that, because the plot's just the plot of this whole thing. I don't have like first we went here, and then we went here, and then we went here. Okay. So that's not going to, unless you have it all in your head. We're
roughly?
Not going to go. Sometimes we go through the whole plot. We're not going to.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to do that.
So the good was the effects, like you're saying, the makeup and shit, the wand even. Yeah. Like, I know that it's just moving sliders or whatever in After Effects or something like that for like a lot of these like effects or something. But something about the wand, when it's like pulsing and the whole like world is like vibrating and people are like getting fucked up and all that, I was like, this is cool. I haven't quite seen this like this before. I dig this.
No, I had no issues at all with that.
It's like gritty and shit. I dig stuff. This world, it's like dark. I always say I want like dark retellings of everything.
Yes, right? The world is gritty in a way that almost doesn't make sense in some regards.
Totally.
But I'm like, how did that happen? Like, I love that it's almost like Lord of the Rings. There was the Great War like 2,000 years ago, and they chose the wrong side.
Well, and I don't know if it's supposed to be set in the current year or if they say at any point or whatever.
Ballpark nowadays.
Definitely ballpark. And you're like, is it though? Like, are we on like a different timeline?
Maybe the 90s.
Like, what's happening here or whatever. Third good thing is Will Smith.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude. I like that he's getting work. And he is an actor, and he has some opportunities here to do some like acting or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, 5 years from retirement. These sons of bitches.
Getting too old for this shit. Bad things. Number 1, Will Smith.
All right, what do you mean by that?
He like when you hire Will Smith, you do it for a reason. Because you want
Will Smith. Welcome to Earth, motherfucker.
You want Will Smith. You want Welcome to Earth. We're gonna put your mom's titties in this little box, and we're not gonna talk about it anymore. And put it over there, right? Will Smith is like Will Smith. He's. I thought I was in the moment. I just, hey man, I was just trying to get you there, man. Come on, like all that Will Smithy shit. I don't think it fit here most of the time. He's making his quips and shit, and I was like torn out of it, and I'm like, this doesn't match the tone of what we're like doing here, or something like that.
I didn't have an issue with it. I thought that him and the orc dude played off each other very well. I thought the orc was a very sympathetic character. I thought this movie, oddly enough, was the one that hit me the hardest with racism. I was like, oh god, I really feel it. Like this one, like really made me feel for a character. Like you see a lot of movies where they're trying to make you like, oh, they want you to support this and blah blah. Like I was like, nah, man, orc lives fucking matter. I really felt it.
I think we're gonna have very different opinions about this final product once we get to like the final.
Let's keep going. What's your third bad?
It's my second bad is it turns out I really hate people in suits doing like ninja moves and shit. So, like, I looked up, what year did The Matrix come out? It came out in 1999.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years ago.
Sure.
And when that came out, I don't know if it was my age or, like, the age of the human race in general, but I thought that was the coolest shit ever. And now watching the elves doing all their shit, I just could not fucking care less.
I thought
the backflips and the bullshit and all that stuff. I'm like,
the elves' fighting style, especially the weird gentleman dude, like him doing his shit.
Well,
I thought the fight scenes in this were amazing and better than some stuff from the Matrix.
Once he actually started like punching and doing stuff, it was great. But like the flying around and like just the idea that they were supposed to be so badass because they're wearing their suits and they're doing their fighting or whatever, I thought a lot of it was like bad.
I like made a mental note of like, how did they plan this fight scene? Like, and what I mean by that is like, do you think Max Landis is writing and then the dude will do this and he'll be on the car and he'll be spinning? Like, some of it seemed so intricate and like, I thought awesome. The fight scenes, I really enjoyed them in this more than I've enjoyed a lot of other ones because it wasn't like bullet time, like I'm moving faster than this and that, but but they were so fast. They seemed to be this like the maximum speed of like a Bruce Lee like style fighter.
Yes. No, there's one scene in particular with that like dude when he's fighting and like the way he like dodges. I think Will Smith goes to shoot him or do something and he like dodges out of the way and hits him and it has this like things that I like in fight scenes are when they're able to like imply a lot of stuff about how strong someone is and how much like control they have over their body. Like they punch exactly where they have to punch and it has this exact effect and they follow through the exact way. Because real fights look like shit. Looks like just fighting like an idiot. So like movie fights should be like, and it's cool that like the elves are all crisp and whatever, and the other humans and orcs are all like bleh, and all that stuff. So
I didn't think they made Jacoby as strong as they should have made him because you see someone bench a truck at one point, and then I'm like, shouldn't he be hurling people through the fucking world? Like, and he does like rip a part off that foosball table and stab the guy with it. Like, so they display he is strong, but not strong enough.
No, and guess what? These are in a certain order, not just to make the Will Smith joke. They are actually. Bad 3 is it's inconsistent. And I wrote down orc strength, elf strength, blah, blah, blah. Because literally exactly what you said. I'm going to stop reading because it's just exactly what you said. The dude just lifts up a truck with like one hand earlier.
No, I think he had 2 hands.
Even so, he lifts up the whole truck, like, over his own head. And he's, like, a bigger orc, and I'm like, are they going to comment about how Jacoby's, or, like, Nick, whatever his name is, like, weak and, like, shitty or something like that? As an orc, he's smaller.
Was strong, like, he used his strength, like, he was not I am a fighter, so, like, his strength is how he beat the elves that he was fighting.
Yeah.
And I was okay with it, and I like when you have that like skill versus strength matchup.
Oh, asymmetrical
and that was cool.
Great.
I loved everything about the fight scene in the convenience store. I thought was so cool. I'm like that guy's using a car and like pushing the fucking shelves. And Jacoby used his strength there to push the shelf back and get Will out. So I'm like, okay, he is demonstrating his strength. He's doing things.
Well, but
he
then
gets fucking hit by the car and dragged like into the fucking freezer case.
But
I'm like, this is wonderful.
It's like he was pinned by the car, but then later it seemed like Will Smith was also just pinned by the car, and I was like, how are they both like? That's what I meant about like the inconsistency of like certain things.
In that scene, it was that
Jacoby
was directly pinned by the car, while Will was pinned by the shelving.
Or something, yeah.
So the shelving, which didn't seem to want to move because there was so much of it, and then it just slowly pinned him.
I loved that shit, honestly, though, because like, if you think about having a sports car in a convenience store and how you'd have to like maneuver and go back and forward and shit would get caught and slowly go tink tink. And like move or whatever, it was very. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think I've ever been like that particular.
That
thing,
scene was
right?
It stood out so much for me. Where I'm like, wow, Netflix, fucking shit. I'm like, why wasn't this in the theaters? Like, it could have been.
Oh,
and that just screams the like. It's to me an executive just going, I got money, bitch. I can do whatever I want. I put this shit on a streaming service, bitch. You got Will Smith. Like, this is like such a like, look at this. Like, this movie's crazy when you think about what it is. Has there ever been a movie with like stars like this that just been put on a streaming service?
I don't think so, but it makes me think just stuff about the future and about stars and about streaming.
Insanity.
Because Will Smith, like, I don't know if they have big stars the way that Will Smith was a big star today. I'm sort of out of touch with the kids or whatever.
Who's they?
Human beings or whatever.
Okay.
Hollywood.
If all of humanity has a star.
No, that's what like obviously there are big stars now, and I know because I'm old still, like Zac Efron or someone like that. Like there are people who it's like, oh, or like The Rock maybe, right? Like
Yeah, The
like,
Rock.
There's certain people who like, oh, they're in it, and like, well, this this movie only exists because they said that they would do the movie or something like that.
Yeah,
like that sort of thing. But Will Smith was like so gigantic in his day or something like that.
He was the biggest. He was like guaranteed blockbuster for fucking July 4th or whatever, like every day.
And I don't know if that quite happens like that anymore. So like I don't even like. The point that I'm getting at is Will Smith was super huge and now is like coming off of his, he's getting older and he's doing his like thing. So I don't know if it's just because to us it feels like, how could you possibly do a thing with Will Smith and not have it be
it's not even
premiering
just
in theaters or whatever?
Because this felt like he was pulled right out of Bad Boys 3. Like this is what he would have been. Like that was the character for me.
Okay.
Like how he talked, how he did everything. But it's that.
Oh, the Will Smith connected universe.
Yeah, but the visuals that they were putting on screen here, I was like, yep, you're like in a Lord of the Rings level here of like makeup and awesomeness, because like I never got the feeling where I'm like, I'm looking at a ton of CG here. Like I felt like even the background people, I'm like, and maybe you reused that guy like 10 times today in different shots, but it still all felt like real makeup, awesome shit. And this world they've made gives me so much like questions. I'm like, what else is there? Because there's one part where somebody blinks and does like the sideways, almost Men in Blackian blink. And I'm like, there must be other races. When there's a large pan out and it shows you the city, there's a dragon flying,
dragon for no
and I'm
reason,
like, there are dragons.
No,
we have like fairies,
and
I'm like,
and a guy mentions dwarves at one point.
Yeah,
we're drinking with the dwarves back of the thing. But they don't show any
like,
dwarves.
what is there? I would love to see the flashback 2,000 years ago, like the fight for the fucking world. Like this is something that I'm like, you could not even make a sequel with these characters, but just make things happen in this world that I would watch. It's interesting enough. The beginning, the opening with the spray paint stuff, that shit was ridiculous.
That's my first note. The intro graffiti thing was fucking awesome.
That was so good, and I was like, oh man.
So okay, like to its credit, and let me get out of the way of this like final thought thing or whatever. I thought that this was cool, but like I was disappointed, and I did not like love this movie.
I've heard that from. I've heard mixed feelings from the people I've talked to about this, and I was like, hey, did you catch that movie?
But part of my disappointment comes from how cool I thought it could have been. Because in your head, I'm like, in my head, I'm like writing the movie ahead of time as it's like unfolding, and then shit just keeps happening where I'm like, oh,
If you ask me, like my critiques, my bad part, my only real that part could have been much better, and I don't know why you didn't do anything of it, and I guess it unfolds into a couple more pieces, is like it ended very poorly for me, where it just kind of ended. It didn't have the thing I would have wanted. So you have the FBI, which is like the magic task force people. Yeah. They do nothing. The whole movie.
They follow
you
them
have
around
this great setup where he's like, her wand's not with her. I can finally get her, and you're maybe to believe that he might be a bright, or maybe that human is a bright, like because it's like, well, why is he in there? Like,
why?
These super high level magic police.
Why is poor man's John Goodman hanging out with this fucking guy with Tom Kessler?
My thought was poor man's Hagrid.
Yeah, no, poor man's something, right?
But I was like, so that's gonna be a thing. You're gonna see they're gonna be. They're gonna be unfolding, and all of a sudden this dude's gonna come in like throwing fucking fire or something. Like it'll be a magic on magic fight, but he never makes an appearance. And I was like, is that brilliant? Is it like set up this thing where you're like, oh, that's gonna happen, but it doesn't happen? And I'm like, well, is that a missed opportunity or is it great writing? And I went back and forth. I don't know, but where I did settle was the ending in general was very much like, okay, the miniseries has to end now. like it didn't feel like a real thing. Like he wasn't inducted. They bought his story. Did they buy his story ironically, where they're like, we can't admit there was a wand. They found a wand. They know there was a wand, so you can be like, all right, Mr. Smith, you're I don't even know what his name was in the movie. I'll just keep calling him Will Smith.
Oh, I knew it until you said that.
You're clearly lying to me.
Let's just call him Will Smith because he's just Will Smith.
Ward. It's something Ward.
Burt Ward.
No. So I don't know what that was supposed to be. Then they give him the Medal of Honor, and they go with his whole story, which I'm like, I think that's what the police would do because they try to sweep that shit out.
Yeah.
Rodriguez dying was unexpected. I thought that was very interesting.
Sure.
Because my thought was either he's going to be dirty, and then he'll obviously die, but he wasn't dirty and died. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You establish a man has 5 children and like one on the way, and then you killed him. So that's interesting.
The brutality.
We don't see things like that happen very often.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I like that. But I think that ending could have been so much more.
Right. So
because you could have had him inducted. You could have had the things. You could have him keep like the wand could have been put into his arm, like how she carried it, because he can hold it now.
Yep.
So like maybe that's why they don't find a wand, but they did find it.
Or like if you were gonna hint at something, you have to hint at it. Okay. Oh, you said a lot of things. I don't think that like. I was maybe disappointed most in like the ending, I guess. I don't even know. So like if I had to be critical like overall, I thought just the whole thing was a fucking goddamn mess. Like we're going here and then we go back there and like it should feel like this, you know, like a pursuit like through the city by night, and like you go from one weird scenario to the other, right? We end up in the club, we end up in the sewer, we end up in the thing. Yeah, it should feel like this weird progression, right? We should have to be getting somewhere, but we end up having to get back to where we started, but then we're allowed to do that somehow. It's this weird, where are you? What's going on? Well, we can't leave. The wand sucked us back. Oh, okay, right? And then I thought, like you thought, you know, oh, she doesn't have her wand. This is my chance or something like that, right? So like you're thinking, well, Will Smith is probably a bright. Did you think that?
From the moment that guy went, he's blessed. I was like, he'll be one of the, because they make a thing where like, well, how many humans have ever been brights?
I know.
1 out of 1,000,000. And I'm like, well, that's Will Smith.
Obviously, right? So Will Smith's gonna be a bright. So I'm like, okay, how's this all gonna like unfold? She's got like black ooze disease and is gonna die now. He's brought back from like the dead, so he's gonna be like whatever. So it's like him with his orc strength, the human with like the power of magic, and like the elf guy who's like, it's been 3,000 years, Cassandra, we're gonna have to do this now. And she goes, and they start doing their shit, and it's this crazy thing. And then like you're saying, they show up like, and I'm like, what, you know, I didn't think, is that brilliant? I thought like, was that, was that intentional? Like, what are we gonna do now? Okay, now they're at the thing. So after this long Will Smith bullshit of like, and like the other guy's bullshit of like, I'm explaining too much, and he's like, fucking shut up, and they go back and forth, and like that was great, but not in like this movie or in the movie that I wanted to see or something like that. But then I'm like, okay, it's almost over. They're going to stop talking. That guy's going to say, cut the shit, we know everything, but now you have to join, like, the secret cops or something, because now you're part of this. And now this is, like, the future, where, like, we like, recast Will Smith, and it like, does become a Netflix show, and it's, like, the weekly adventures of, like, the magic cops or whatever the fuck, because he's a bright now, and that elevates him to, like, oh, this is this crazy thing. And that doesn't happen, and then I'm like, is that subverting our expectations?
I don't think you could actually give him the wand ever, because the wand seems to be too powerful.
I know.
That, like, how the bad guy doesn't just destroy the world in general having the wand. But let me just give a quick, if I were to rewrite this, where I would
the whole
take the
thing?
turn.
The whole damn
where
thing?
the turn would
that
take
part?
would happen right after the car door is ripped off and the gang members are chasing them down the road.
That's like 14 minutes into the movie.
Hang on.
Okay.
So at that moment, you have already imprisoned that crazy dude swinging the sword. You've had him say like his whole like go from being a crazy drunk person to be like, he's speaking Orcish? What's he saying? Blah blah blah. And he says like, you've been blessed, blah blah blah, which never gets brought up again. But it would it would play out like this: the door just gets ripped off, and he's trying to load the shotgun shells, and like they're dropping out, and he's like, oh shit, and like the car would get like flipped or something, and like they'd go to get the girl out, and in the back trunk area would still be that sword, and he'd pull that sword out, and now all of a sudden it'd be like, and it would glow, because they've already done prophecy talk, like, we might be in a prophecy, blah, 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 and like, that would be like the magical sword, and you would never let Will Smith touch you would never let him use the wand, but it would be a thing where the wand wouldn't hurt him. Yeah. Like, he is blessed. He is something other. Like, he is the divine light, blah blah. And you'd have this thing where
like he's the opposite side thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is magical. He is part of the prophecy. Jacoby, all that shit plays out where Jacoby does die, gets resurrected, and instead of having it like, oh, you're blooded now, you're now part of our gang, it would be, you are part of a prophecy, and now you are a leader, and all these other orcs want to be part of your gang, and that's how he makes reference earlier about how this one man who was a farmer reunites the seven whatevers, and they fought against evil, and I think that could be his thing about human-orc relations, and he could take all the gangs out of the thing, because like they're people that are very much religious, and they're like, no, he was brought back from the dead. He's the chosen one. We must follow him to the age of prosperity. And the whole world starts to take shape and change, and that's the world I would have wanted.
Like their actions actually help progress the state of the world.
The
as
whole
it's presented
world,
broken.
yes.
Yeah.
And now you don't have this elf hierarchy, because you don't have they're just the trash in the ground, blah blah blah. They're doing things to actually fight the world, and the world can become a better place slowly through a show that will come out next spring.
I like a lot of this. Let me try to hit 3 major points: sword guy, blooded, and I forget the last one. The blooded thing made me literally roll my eyes, and I was really upset. Because those fucking guys just show up out of nowhere just to do that in that scene. He's laying outside of some other fucking place where I guess they fought. I was very upset.
I didn't hate it,
Jesus
but it wasn't what I wanted. And because they established that you get blooded by it
that
through
should
an
have
act of
happened
courage.
maybe or something. It made total sense, but I feel like on the page it doesn't read as dumb as it does when you see it. We're like, wait, all those fucking gang members were like, yeah, stand just behind the fucking SWAT team. We have to blood this guy or some shit. It was like, oh my god, what the fuck? And by that point, all my disappointment and I wish this movie were better, just came to a head, and I exploded and was like, how fucking this sucks.
My
I was very upset
bigger
with the whole
issue
thing.
than him becoming blooded is the idea that he is blooded. I thought one of the
Just
reasons
the
he
way
was
it
allowed
happened.
to become a cop was because he's a rounded tooth,
Yeah.
and he's not affiliated with a gang. And now if he's and he may never be a cop anymore ever again because of what happened today. But
Yeah,
I don't know that
yeah.
you can be a blood and be in the LAPD type of thing, you know?
Well, so good thing, bad thing. I loved all that with round tooth, false orc, blah blah blah. All this fucking that was Klingon. I thought of the last thing though. So I love when the intro credits show, because in a shittier thing, the intro credit would have been a scroll.
Sure,
would have been
sure.
and the story of the elves and the fucking things. But this was graffiti and hip hoppy type shit playing, and shots of the street lights and orcs standing in front of a sign that says no orcs allowed or whatever. And that, oh man, this shit's awesome or whatever the fuck. And one of those things had the Dark Lord, and one had Jirok. And that's what he later says to Will Smith, and it kind of establishes, right, that's an awesome thing to do, where you have some shit, and not forced dialogue in the beginning, and not like a lame text crawl, but have it this weird.
No, it was one of the best
part of your
displays of
stylized
things,
things,
yeah.
and tie it together. That's the kind of Max Landis-y connection that I like or whatever, in the midst of all this other garbage. Third thing was Sword Guy. Oh man, I really wish Sword Guy did something and was good. So the way that shot was shot, and I want you to bear with me because this is retarded. I thought that Sword Guy was larger than a normal human being.
Okay.
I thought that he might be 8 feet or taller or something like that, and he might be one of the other magical things, like a small giant or a large whatever, or a Nordic or whatever they call them, not Vikings, like the Celtic people had some weird jacked awesome people or something like that, and he's a shirtless dirty man with a sword and doing all his shit or whatever. And even when Jacoby puts the cuffs on him, when he's kneeling, Orc dude's kind of small, so I was still holding on to maybe he's just above average height, because the way he was in the middle of the street, and the way the cars rolled up, and the angle of the camera, something made me think, oh, this is a problem because he's a 400-pound gigantic dude or something like that. And then it's no, it's not, it's just a fucking dirty homeless guy with a fucking thing. But then he starts speaking Orcish, and it's a prophecy, and I'm
I
okay,
like
cool.
that.
But yeah, him, they interrogate him later, and he reveals some exposition that was not needed to be revealed that way at all. But the whole thing, oh, what's the sword gonna be? What's the sword gonna be? What's the sword gonna be? Since the first trailer, is that Excalibur? What else is real in this world? I can't wait. And then what's the sword? Is it actually nothing? Am I just forgetting something?
Because of how dumb that was, I thought it was going to be no, he's from the light.
And he was sent to deliver the sword.
That's what I figured.
Yes, right? That would have been perfect.
This was his goofy way of handing that off.
I love that so much. That would have been awesome. I would have enjoyed that.
And maybe in the
endlessly.
next movie.
In the next what? No, this is
setup. Max Landis.
This is over. This is done.
Nah.
I wonder how popular this is even going to be.
It was so that was I was saying earlier. I got a mixed bag where some people were like, I hated it, and other people were like, I watched it twice, and I was like, oh, so it seems very much down the middle.
I planned to watch it twice. I'm the kind of idiot who I like horrible movies. Because they have these elements of like the battle between heaven and hell, or like the old school mashup. I'll watch I, Frankenstein. I don't give a fuck. Like all of the Resident Evils and like the Underworlds and all these like horrible action movies where it's like, oh, you're a vampire though, I guess, this weird fucking shit. And so I like watched this without taking notes, and then was like, I'm going to watch it again and take notes, of course, because that'll be a treat to like watch it twice. And then I didn't. Like I did like the Netflix thing where like you like scrub through it. Like days later, last night, I was like, should I go to bed or should I have to write something down, otherwise I'm gonna like forget stuff or whatever. So I just like held like the right arrow key and let it like scroll through it, and then would like let go every now and then and be like, oh yeah, it's shit with the guy with the sword. And I would hold it and let it go and be like, oh yeah, when the guy does the thing with the mustache and he's like, let's steal the wand, I'm a fucking idiot. All right, and I just kept like going and like jotting down plot points like in order to be like, what should we talk about?
I wanted at least once there to be a thing where they used the wand as a weapon. So like they're like.
So it was established. What do you mean?
No. Like I have a glove on, I pick up the wand, and I go catch, and someone catches it and dies.
Oh, like
I wanted that to happen.
Like an actual trick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because if it touches your bare skin, you
die.
It usually disintegrates you, but sometimes
I thought
that
it was almost foreshadowing. There's a part where he picks up, what's her name, like Teacup or something? Tika. He picks up Tika, and she has the wand in her hand. And I was like, that could have very easily just grazed the back of his neck. but like, there was no fear at all. And I'm like, did she know? Because she says, have faith. And that faith, I think, was the, in touching the wand. I don't think it was like, in that I'll be okay. So,
okay.
I think as
a bright, she
can see brights or something. But then.
Maybe.
The other one either done that power or did and said, like, don't touch that, you'll die, as like a try to fake him out.
I know, yeah. 'Cause that was the whole thing, because they established with that I keep saying gangster, which I think gives the wrong impression, but that dude in the wheelchair I liked quite a bit.
Sure,
because he was
Poison.
Yeah, Poison. There you go. His actual name. His like.
No, yeah, he was great. I loved he did a thing where like he rolled down the hill and like did like. I was like, this dude's been practicing.
He's been on this for a while, and so like
his motivations were also great too.
I was just gonna say that they establish his motivation as being something very like not like relatable, like we're all in wheelchairs and we all wish we had magic wands, but like you go, holy shit, and he even pulls up and he has like the bag,
colostomy bag,
like,
yeah.
Damn son, that does suck. Fuck you, and like you see why he would like want the wand, and like I think he's the one that says like 1 in a million chance you'll explode, or it'll like solve all your problems.
Yeah.
Would you do it? Would you grab the wand? Would you do it? I would. I probably would. What if you're magic?
I probably would wait till a little later in my life.
No, today.
Because that magic could just bring me back to the part I want to be at.
How do you know that?
Magic?
It probably says, yeah. I don't know what it's
capable It seems like it can literally do anything. But only if you know the words, presumably.
No, so that's the whole thing. And she said she had to train and all that stuff. So I thought that they were really setting up for like, you'll be issued a wand. It will not, of course, be one of like the legendary wands. And it'll be a focal point for your power. And we're going to teach you how to like do some stuff or like whatever or something like that. Here it is. And he's like, what is this? We call it the noisy cricket. Here's your shitty wand. And he'd be like, oh, fuck. Or this like something. Or, like,
I wanted more explanation as like, why is she dying from it? Like,
again, like sometimes that's great, right? Oh, to like bring him back from like the dead, she had to reach across the like thing, and it like left some shit on her, and now she's like it's like killing her or something, because like like the universe wants a soul or something, or something, and then you're like, I don't fucking know. Because they don't really get into it, and like the water heals her, I guess. But it's not that the water heals her; the water's like connected. But then she's gone. But I guess she's okay because they show her later. But how'd she get away?
She was a
and
cool character. How
anything?
She moved was interesting. But like, and it also you can see the inspiration from the Fifth Element in this movie.
Oh, that was my one thing. Yeah,
because she's Lilu. Like, she doesn't understand how the world works. She's tapping things. She gets scared by things. She does things. And I'm like, is she insane? And then all of a sudden, it's like she's normal now. She speaks English. But like, I didn't have an issue with it. I thought about it after the fact a little bit.
Yeah.
But like while I was in the ride, I was like, nah, what is she? She's like simple, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so like they say something like she was off training or she was off with like the people or something like that. But it sounds like elves live for a long time. I feel
Definitely,
like,
thousands.
I feel like she should know how the world works. And yes, it was totally so. Like my criticism there would be like if I hadn't have just but based on what you said, thought of because like I thought of the like Lilu thing, but I didn't like remember or whatever. Like she's a fucking like non-character in this, so it doesn't do anything. really, right?
She's a visual set piece, a tool to get from point A to point B.
Ugh. But like Lilu is this awesome character,
yes,
who like learns about the world and has all these feelings. Corbin Dallas, multipass.
I love though like how Tika does like those, how she moves and does flips and shit was like weird and dope. There was only one movement in I think the movie that I was like, well, that was some CG bullshit. Like they like in the gas station, same deal. I forget who gets thrown, but they look like you grabbed their arm and their leg and threw them like a frisbee, and they were like, ah.
No, and that's probably like the height of my like fucking this is bullshit like like reaction that then spilled over into like everything that was borderline or even kind of good, where I was just like they're just flying around on like fake wire bullshits or CG fake wire bullshits, and I'm just like I don't want to see that anymore. I want that brutal, and like the one guy was doing it, like like the most, the one dude fighting or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he his shit wasn't as ridiculous. The head elf's shit, seemed kind of ridiculous. Her movements to me didn't feel good, and it felt inconsistent. Because later, like Will Smith can kind of fight her, and I'm like,
he's blessed
with fight power. How is that? So he can get shot though and be out of commission for months or whatever. How is he blessed?
Well, I think a normal person would have died.
Is this new? Is this like a blessing? I don't think so. I don't think that was implied even a little bit.
Above average.
I think he's above average, certainly.
He gets shot in the arm and then later carries the elf when Jacoby is stronger and fit. That's because he's blessed.
Do you think it's because he's blessed or because this was like poorly written / shot or whatever?
Hashtag blessed.
I would have liked for them to make that into a thing. Maybe have him say something like, I don't know, I just bounced back quickly or something like that. Or just put like something. If that's what
I would have liked Jacoby to ever have mentioned that to him at all.
What?
That guy was saying something about you're blessed. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, what was the reason to not like? He knows you speak Orcish. It wasn't like a surprise. Oh, he's mumbling incoherently. Why? Why would you say that?
No, that was when
there's no trust between us, partner.
That was when I began my like slip of like maybe this movie's not going to be good. Oh no, because it was very much just like. I said out loud, I think, repeat the words. Just repeat the words that he said. Because that's what everyone does in, like, every movie. And I expect more from Max Landis. Instead of, he's not making sense. And I'm like, don't say he's not making sense. Say what he's saying. Maybe it'll make sense later. I don't know. Fuck.
Nah. But I enjoyed it. My biggest weird thing was the ferry, though. The beating of the ferry.
Well, fairies are apparently not people. Their fairy lives don't matter.
But like, even if you equated that to like our world thing of like a monkey, if you just watch someone beat a monkey to death, you'd be like, "What are you doing,
there's like
you monster?"
There's laws against killing like most, even things that seem to be a lot simpler than that fairy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe because it has a face, I'm like projecting that it has intelligence, but seems like whatever, more.
Sure.
Whatever the fuck.
It's just very strange. And the tool at which he uses to beat the fairy.
Like plastic shitty broom.
Yeah, it didn't even like pull the head off. Like, would have had no proper balance. But he murked that motherfucker.
He did in fact murk that motherfucker. You want to talk about racism before we end this?
Sure. What do you got?
You said this touched you in a way.
In how like this felt like the way like I've watched I don't go out of my way to watch a bunch of movies dealing with racism.
Yeah.
But like remember the Titans? I remember feeling a way where I was like fucking racist sons of bitches. Like you start like whenever a movie can make you get mad at racist people, I think a movie's doing like its job in its
Yeah.
in its race relations department, like you can check a box. And something about this, the way the department treated him and like how they were going, it made me immediately think, I'm like, holy shit, being a black cop would have been the worst. Like Jesus Christ, they make it so hard. This guy's just trying to be, and like how they sold him as such a likable character, and like all he wants to do is be a good cop. I
help people. I want to be a cop forever. That's what I wanted to be. I thought
it was a good pick for Will Smith to take this role because he wasn't being a good character. Like, he's a person, and like he even describes it perfectly. Where it's like, I'm just like, you are a good character. I am just faking my way in through this life of being a good character, and that's true. And there's people like that, and it felt very real. I thought this was while it had flaws, the movie itself was very good.
Okay, I feel the opposite way, where it had some cool stuff, but the movie itself was not good. But the racism part, I feel like that like sometimes people take it too far because like Star Trek, a lot of other stuff. Its like point is to be well, like the humans are white people, and then we created crazy, outlandish caricatures of every other stereotype to show you that, like, hey, things aren't always what you assume they'll be, or whatever, about like all these other people, right? And like sometimes when you do that, it can, there's some traps you can fall into and some like weird stuff. But here, everything felt kind of okay. Like I like that, like his boss is some Chinese lady, and she's like, "Fuck off! What the fuck?" Is
that Rhonda Wu or O or whatever fucking name?
Oh, I have no idea who that is. I don't know who that is.
I can't remember the name, but like
it's not Sandra Oh. If that's Sandra, I don't think so.
There's some like
I'm not sure if that's a famous
like
person,
comedian that I thought that was.
Oh, Margaret Cho? No.
I don't know.
I don't think it's Margaret Cho. I think it's just some random person, but like that's, and like Will Smith is obviously black, and like then there's some other like pieces, but like everyone's just a piece of shit, and there's no like weird like we have kind of put aside our more minor differences in the face of these like larger differences, and it's kind of this beautiful thing, because back in the day like the Irish or like the Germans or certain people in like Europe were looked at a certain way, and that's evolved to have wider reaching, more extreme
that might have been what made it click even more, where like now, like it's just that the humans in general will always find somebody to pick on for some reason, and it kind of was a nice like play on things, when it's like, I was like, in this typical America where like the black man has it hard, to have the black man in the movie hating on this other guy, where it's like, yep, humans are pieces of shit that will just always find someone to fuck with. We can't just be happy and let things go.
Well, and like the orcs and elves were kind of people too in that regard, where we saw each other as these, we're all on this earth sharing it together, except those people are fucking like dirty. Or,
the elves had their own fucking like, it wasn't pricks. Chinatown, it was like Elftown was like, you need a fucking security clearance to get into. Our fucking rails are made of gold. Like
I actually loved like that. Like seeing how all the elves are like millennial pieces of shit, or like it's like Dubai, where like
Dubai is a good comparison.
Every car's a fucking Ferrari, and there's like orcish like chauffeurs and stuff, and you're like, oh fuck, like that's sort of on the nose, but this like, because we only drove through Elftown, and like that was fine, like everything was sort of okay. It wasn't this weird preachy over the top thing. And like you're saying, like Internal Affairs shows up and it's like, what do you care? He's a fucking pig-nosed piece of shit. Fucking let's get him out of here. And you're like, oh fuck, like this is actually like this is like, this is too much. This is bad. This is not good. And he has to be in that position of like, well, shit. And like you're saying, like they're doing the exact same thing that they would have done to like the first gay police officer, or the first black police officer, or even today, whatever, where they would say like, hey, we all have your back, man. Just fucking, do something. Write a letter. Get this shit out of here. We don't want this in our department. What if I'm next? What if they put one of them in my car and all this shit?
Yeah,
like,
but I think on that level,
gross. Yeah,
this movie did that better than like
totally.
Anything I can remember, honestly, where like I really felt, I'm like, no, this should be shown in schools.
Well, because they went that extra mile to make the people like they're like real pieces of shit, and like even to a point where it's not too much, but like so much, where like the minute Will Smith leaves, they're like, okay, what's the real plan? Yeah, we're gonna fucking smoke both of these motherfuckers. Yeah. Like, oh my god, like everyone sucks like so much, and like you're saying, they made like Jacoby so good, but he did lie to his partner, and he
lied about like he was so right in his assumptions and how he did things. I'm like, yeah, they would have killed that kid. Like,
I know.
And like, great, and that's the moment from fucking Training Day where you're like, yes, you saved that person, and I thought that was you think that's gonna save him now, but no, he fucking gets shot right through the fucking heart, like and tipped over into like chasm to the center of the earth or whatever.
I know, and I really that wasn't.
I thought that was great though, because you're sitting there like you're like, yep, seen this 1,000 times. He's saved that kid, and now that kid's gonna tell his father. His father's gonna be like, you saved my son. All right, we're going to help you. And no, it's what happens in real life. We're like, now we got to kill this pig. Like,
I know, but like that still like fell short for me. Something about the way it like was a lot of my issues I think are like in like the implementation or whatever. Like that scene didn't feel good. It felt weird. It felt like, oh, he is the kid. Oh, he's not like, but like not like, it wasn't like brutally ignoring your like expectations, but it also wasn't like baiting and switching you. It was just like this thing happens and then that thing happens, but not in that way where it's like, oh, like the brutal humanity of just doing one thing and then the other. It was like this weird, I don't know.
It wasn't what I was picturing though, and that's like, and I'm usually pretty good about like citing something from a mile away, going, oh, that's telegraphed. I know what's going to happen, and I thought the kid was just going to chicken out on it. I for whatever reason, did not place him at all as the kid that Jacoby saved. And I was like, all right, he's going to hesitate, do something. Will's going to do this. The elf girl's going to do that. They're going to blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, and he dies. Oh, it was a treat. I like that.
I don't know. Something else. Something about it. I like it on paper a lot, and I know what you're saying. Like, I realized it because they were like, my son's going to do the thing, and then when he was hesitating or something, or like when he started to like get the gun or whatever, his like necklace or something, and I was like, because you had like just found out about, Jacoby's lie about the kid.
Yes.
So I was kind of like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really trying to predict it.
The great face, like that kid. You can see such great facial acting through the the makeup, which is wonderful because like you can see that kid's hesitant. Well, if this was a couple of years ago, it wouldn't have played. It would just be like, why is that grumpy motherfucker not want to kill him?
It'd be it would be this dead-eyed mask of nothingness where you'd be like, why is this taking so long?
Now we've come so far, and
no, we totally.
I'm hoping this pioneers a whole new road of people going, yeah, practical effects. Let's do practical effects.
Well, it was probably like a combination, like it always is. Like the best CG is stuff you can't tell is CG or whatever the fuck. But no. Like the effects were really good, and that's again for me. Just like I wish I like enjoyed this more, or this was like better or whatever for like being a movie where I was like, oh, that was so cool. You got to see that. Have you not seen that? Oh, it's amazing. Where I'm like, you could watch it, I guess, if you want. I don't know.
I would recommend it.
Yeah.
So let's get to the ending bit, I guess, here where we're talking.
The ending bit.
So.
Oh, let me just say really quick before the ending bit. I wanted to do a Red Letter Media intro for this. I had a whole plan.
What was your plan?
Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to look up the synopsis for Alien Nation, and I wanted to read that instead of this, and then possibly even call you Mike and say, what did you think about Alien Nation 1996 or 86 or whatever the fuck it is? Because I was hoping, and I looked it up, and it's so bad. It's so not the right thing. I was hoping the synopsis was going to be, grizzled veteran cop, blah, 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 gets an unlikely partner in the form of someone who's not, and they have to bond, and whatever the fuck. That's one of my, like, major, and so it's not. Every fucking synopsis of Alien Nation on IMDb or in the other things says, like, when a spaceship crashes in the Mojave Desert carrying 300 alien laborers known as Newcomer. It's this, like, very, like, I can't even, like, change one or two words. It was like, this is too clunky, I'm not going to bother or whatever. But, like, it was very Alien Nation to me. And Max Landis is, like, not my age, but, like, ish or something like that. I don't know how much of what's on screen was Max Landis's, but I'm assuming their relationship and, like, Jacoby's personality. Is this based on a comic book, or what is this, Bright?
I don't think so.
Okay.
At least I've not heard it was.
I don't know if it's loosely based or actually based. Point is, it was super Alien Nation. The guy even, like, they have the exact same bonding. The guy has the exact same personality as his partner in Alien Nation, where he's he's weird about human biology and, like, customs and all that stuff. And it's like, well, you would be. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to be exactly like the two characters from Alien Nation. That's crazy to me. Who fucking watched Alien Nation and then decided to make this or whatever?
I think, though...
Thumbs down. I hate this movie.
I think if you were reviewing things when Alien Nation came out, you'd be like, this is just like that thing when they butted this cop with that. Like, I think
No. He literally says... Because there's that scene in Alien Nation about, like, the condom, and it's like, but how does it fit, or something like that. Or, like, weird stuff about their kids and different things or whatever, weird stories.
But where was that in this?
It's exact... Because he talks about, like you were the one that needed more conjugal love, and, like, the facial things, and, I can smell, and I do this, and they're, like, comparing their stupid things or whatever. Watching it, I was like, this is just Alien Nation, what the fuck?
Like, there are movies I've watched where I'm like, this is the exact dialogue.
No, it's obviously not the exact dialogue, because he's not an alien, and he's not just finding out about humans, but the way that they relate, the way that they carry on about stuff, and he has to mention his biological differences in this overt way, and this is it was like super Alien Nation to me. His personality was very much like the guy from Alien Nation, and that's not like a death sentence. I'm just saying.
I don't think I can't say I can ignore that there's any similarities, but I don't think that they were too close in really any way.
Okay, I do.
Like, I think I can make the same comparisons to, like, Enemy Mine or any movie that has two people of different races.
Sure. And, like, had these two characters been, like, not cops and stranded somewhere and doing the same, like playing fake football or whatever, then I would have been like, yeah, this is just Enemy Mine, what the fuck?
No, I didn't mean to say that it is like Enemy Mine. I just think like any movie with two people that are differently matched up together.
Yeah, but the orc could have had a bunch of different personalities, but he had the personality of the guy from Alien Nation instead. That's why I was like, oh, this is Alienation.
I haven't seen that movie in like 6 years,
Yeah.
but I don't remember.
I haven't
the
seen it
personality
either,
being
so
very
like
similar.
I could be misremembering it. But I feel like a lot of the way that they he carried himself or his dialogue or his things or something like that. I don't know.
The guy from
I'm not
Alienation
saying-
was very not human, while Jacoby was more human than Will.
I guess in Alienation,
Like Alienation,
I
I remember him being very robotic and how he talked almost like the
Yeah.
doctor from Star Trek, almost like
right. He's like speaking formal English and doing
Yes.
stuff. I understand what you're saying. Like, there's obviously differences between all the characters, and I haven't seen Alienation either. I have no idea. But like Grizzled,
I'm sure Nexus has
Cop
seen that
and
movie.
whatever.
But if went on record saying I've never seen that movie, I'd be like, yep, that makes sense.
No. And I totally agree that you could come to like a similar conclusion about how characters would relate. I'm not saying it's a ripoff or I've like exposed the like truth of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying it was like part of me being like, oh, it's just too much like that. I hate that or whatever.
I would like to do a comparison now of the two directly back to back.
You have to compare my memory of one thing with
That's
this recent
what
thing
that's
or
what I'm
whatever.
saying.
Yeah,
When was the last time you saw it?
like 70 years ago? I have no idea.
Like pre-high school?
I have no idea when the last time I saw Alienation was.
All right. Do you have any other
Was there an ending bit you wanted to say, or just the part?
No,
at the end where
just
we
to
say
say, the ending sum up of this movie.
I think
Let us know in the comments below if you think this is like Alienation.
I don't even want to go on record. I'm just saying. It struck me as being very much like a thing where I was like, oh, I wanted, it reminded me so much of it that it bothered me, that I wanted it to be like something else or whatever. I don't know. Cops, mismatched races.
Reminded me more of like Island City.
What the hell is Island City?
If I'm remembering the title correctly, it was the one with they have the jewels in their hands.
Oh, you've talked about
and
this.
You can only mate with those people, but there was
I don't
one
think anyone
cop
else
that
has
was a
ever
mix
seen
of
that.
those two people. And that's why I'm
Is that
saying
the one that you had to go on the internet to like find out what it was called or whatever?
that was Primal Rage,
Oh,
Ron Perlman movie with giant baboons.
also with jewels in their hands? Or
No,
whatever?
no.
Oh, I thought the jewel in the hand thing was the one you had
But
to go on the internet to track down.
Like my point being that like there's lots of movies with like different races
yeah.
together, and I
100%.
think that you could pull a comparison out of anything.
Yeah.
Like probably even any random movie. If I was just like, hey, The Crow. It's very similar to The Crow in that guy wants revenge on this guy. Like that's a horrible example, but like
I know.
I have a pet peeve of whenever
it's
anyone
like,
compares anything to anything. I'm
know.
like, that's not that.
I know that, and I should have thought ahead that you would react that way. It's like when someone says that two people look alike, and that's because like different
Like,
people.
yeah, this person's eye looks like that person's eye,
yeah,
but
different.
nothing else.
Well, and different people focus on like different parts of the face, or you're thinking about that actress from one particular role versus this chick you just met.
Like
and
you
now
happen
she
to have
looks
seen
different or
a good
whatever.
amount of movies, but
Yeah.
that peeve was started through like idiots who like
Oh,
I work with who have only seen like 10 movies, and I have like 3,000 movies.
Where people think
so
that
I'm like,
something
no,
came-
that's not like that. You'd think that
Or-
came from that because you're an
I
idiot.
was gonna
This came
say,
out first.
or something came from something,
Yeah.
and you're like, they did not invent that. They did not invent that. I want
Yeah.
to strangle you. They did not invent that. And you go
And you
crazy.
can't when
Yeah, I
when
know.
people like can't see what you're saying, it drives me nuts.
And they go, yeah, sure, man. No one else knows that but you. And you're like,
Yeah.
I will kill you. Now, this was just like a feeling more than anything else. I didn't like scientifically go back or whatever. But I thought the synopsis would fucking nail it and be like, the unlikely partnership, but they must put their differences aside when something comes up, something from the weird cop's old past rears its ugly head and threatens everything. They have to. I thought it was gonna be like exactly the same thing, and I was gonna be like, this is awesome. But they played up the alien angle too much.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
All right, guys. So that's our thoughts on this. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about this movie. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.